Team is on the air. To make sure we're all headed in the right direction, we at WMUZ have assembled a team of experts. And every night, a different expert is here to give advice about the
Hey,
issues
social
that
media
impact
friends, it's
your
Dr.
life.
Lazar. We
We hope you
are
find the information on today's program to be
doing
inspiring.
your weekly
If
checkup.
you've been
Jaden's
told
in
you have to
studio. We're
live
getting
with pain
started,
or a
and
chronic health
we're going
problem,
to be going
we
live
encourage
here
you to
right
call
now. Thanks for
866
tuning in.
521 WELL and make an appointment with Dr. Lazar, the host of your weekly checkup. Dr. Jonathan Lazar is an upper cervical doctor who believes you can live the life God intended for you. The number again is 866 521 WELL. That's 866 521 WELL.
Welcome to your weekly checkup. I'm Dr. Lazar, and I'm joined in studio with Jaden. Jaden, great to have you with us tonight. We've got a great show lined up for you, and we are super grateful you're here. If you're listening to us live on the radio, welcome. If you're listening to us on social media, welcome. Our episode tonight is called Hope Restored, the Lazar Method and the Kids Who Changed Everything. We want you to call now for a life-changing consultation. 866-521-WELL, 866-521-9355. Or if you're watching on social, you can put it in the chat and we'll have our team follow up accordingly. So thanks so much for being here. We couldn't do it without you. So the show tonight that Jaden and I put together is personal. It's real. We care about it. If you're listening right now and your child is struggling with speech delays, meltdowns, sensory overload, this episode could change your life. By the end of tonight's show, Jaden and I set a goal. We want 20 families who are ready to see change to call us. Not tomorrow, tonight. 866-521-WELL, 866-521-9355. And if you mention the word hope for our special listener-only consultation, we will also include part of the NeuroScan package. We've never done that before. So really, really huge stuff. Super grateful to be sharing this with you. And we didn't know 17 years ago when we stumbled on this that it was going to have such profound effects. Jaden, you were mentioning in the pre-show about a little guy who went from nonverbal to speaking, and why don't you share some of that?
Yes. So when he came in to the office, they were from like British Columbia. So they bought a one-way ticket. Just after one conversation on the phone, they bought a one-way ticket and came and stayed closer for a couple months. And they came in to have him, for us to take a look and see how he's doing, if there's something that we can help or address, or if there's any interference that we can remove. And they started care. When somebody is nonverbal, they can say no words at all, or nonverbal is also can be a very small vocabulary. So he was completely nonverbal. No, he didn't talk or say any words at all. And then after his very first adjustment, he looked at Dr. Lazar and he said, "Thank you, doctor." And Dr. Lazar was like, "Oh, you're welcome." And we heard him say that and we're like, "That's so cool." And when his mom and grandma started crying, we didn't realize that he was completely nonverbal with zero words within his vocabulary. And so that was really, really awesome to hear. And that was just one adjustment. Throughout the course of his care in our office, he would say, "Bye, ladies." He would eventually get to that. And then just the other day, he said, "Bye, Jaden, bye, Allie, and bye, Monica," which was really cool because you can tell he wanted to express the words that he was thinking. And for him to go completely nonverbal to saying a couple words to forming sentences and reading the words and sayings that are on our wall, that was was really cool, and they were able to schedule a flight back, so they'll be heading home soon.
That's amazing. And it just goes to show you, when we get the nervous system working, really, really cool stuff happens. It's super powerful. So Laura, I see you on social. Thank you for joining us. It's always great to see you. You're super loyal. Every time we're on here, you're on, and we're super grateful for that. So we appreciate you doing that. So Nathan was another young man, nonverbal, no eye contact, crab walk down the hallway. Just 6 weeks into care, he looked his mom in the eye and started saying things that she hadn't heard before. It was really not super noticeable for mom until others started commenting, and they were saying that he was doing better in classes. And she wrote in her book, Sugar, SHOO -GER or something. It's not spelled like the actual sugar, but she wrote in her book about what a transformation that was. And, you know, we're just looking for pressure on the brainstem and interference there. But that affects speech and language centers. That affects sensory input. There's so much. And we're going to be talking about birth trauma and how that affects the growth and development of your child, or how it affected the growth and development of your child. And you don't want to miss that. Also, don't wait to be told there's nothing you can do. Call us tonight, 866-521-WELL, 866-521-9355. So, Jaden, people will ask sometimes about the Lazar method, and what is it that you would tell them if a listener said, what is that? I've not heard of that before.
So the Lazar method, it's not only chiropractic, which is something big. It's neurofunctional care rooted in nervous system regulation and autonomic balance.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So the reason it's the Lazar method is simply because we have combined a whole bunch of different things where we were getting results. So part of it is quantum spinal mechanics. We also use digital neurology exams. We are versed and trained in Dr. Tony Ebel's perfect storm model about birth trauma, stress, toxins, dysautonomia, developmental derailment. And so we've combined that with digital motion x-ray and so there are groups that are doing the QSM3 work, and there are groups that are doing other upper cervical work, and there are groups that are doing nerve scans, and groups that are doing digital motion x-rays, and groups that are doing posture analysis, but not quite posture IQ. And so what it is just an assimilation of the best of the best, basically, is what we've done. And so the 3 Ds we look for when we're dealing with a kiddo with a neurodevelopmental disorder or neurodivergent, it doesn't have to be a disorder necessarily. It just is, kiddo's not functioning how you would expect or want for him or her to reach their full God-given potential. The 3 things we look for are disconnection, dysregulation, and delay. If you're seeing any of the 3 of those, dysregulation, disconnection, delay, that it definitely, we should have talked sooner. And that's why we're doing this show now. I had the privilege of adjusting a 2-day-old today. That's just always my favorite. I love going up to the hospital and seeing little ones. And this little guy couldn't turn his head. I'm visualizing how I tested him. Mom said he wasn't latching on one side, but he was latching on the other. And they had told her it was because he's tongue-tied. But I said, if he's latching on one side and not the other, his tongue is the same in both scenarios. So he may not be turning his head. And she had actually noticed that. Mom is a patient. And so
she drives an hour and a half one way every single week for care. She's done it for years, and she's been taken off all of her medicine from her DO.
For migraines
Yeah.
and all kinds of stuff. So really great results. And so I love that so much because it's we don't have to say anything. It's not a program or a policy. It simply was, hey, I had him. Can you come Tuesday morning and get him checked? And I mean, it was just very like how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
And so he couldn't turn his head to his right. And so he wasn't able to latch on that side, got him adjusted. He was able to turn his head immediately. And that was just today. So I haven't followed up yet to know all the other great things, but it was really cool. So disconnection, dysregulation, or delay. So the disconnection can be verbal, it can be emotional, it can be with eye contact, it could be with nursing, like literally latching on is connecting. Dysregulation, if the body's not working properly in any way, if you've got a kiddo that's not sleeping through the night,
Or like wetting the bed at night too.
yeah, huge.
Once they're like out of, even really once they're like potty training age and they still can't keep their bladder at night, that is a common problem we see.
Huge
for
sign.
families.
Dysregulation is big. Like if they can't pay attention, if they can't sit still, if they get ear infections, if they have sore throats all the time, if they just anything that's you saying this child's body is not expressing at a high level. A good friend of ours, Dr. Dibley, is big on being the architect of your life. And I love that because it goes against the traditional model of let's just drift everywhere. And you don't build a home and just say, well, I'll see how it turns out. Right? I mean,
yeah.
that would be absurd. You get an architect and you design what you want. I want the kitchen this big. Why? Well, because we got to all fit and we need this many dishwashers because the one's not enough. And we like whatever it is, it's by design.
Mm-hmm.
And our life is no different. We treat it differently, but we don't need to. Our life really should not be any different. And so anytime there's dysregulation, and do not, please, please, please do not assume that just because everybody deals with it, that it's normal.
Mm-hmm. I always tell patients, I'll say, it's not normal, but it's common.
Yes.
And I think that's an important way for people to understand, like, hey, we see this all the time, but it's not how it's supposed to happen. Like,
Right.
You're not supposed to have your tonsils removed. You're not supposed to have your appendix removed. You're not supposed to fill in the blank. We see it all the time. Cortisone shots. You're not supposed to have cortisone shots. We see it all the time.
Right. And so that's a good point because it's not that you should never, it's just, it shouldn't be common.
Right.
Why would that be something that happens commonly? Dr. Ebel, I don't know if you've met him or I know I talked to you about him a lot. We were in school together. We talk a lot. He is just doing such amazing things in the pediatric chiropractic community. But anyway, he's got a quote. He said, most kids with neurodevelopmental disorders don't need more meds. They need their nervous system back online. And he doesn't say don't take meds. Here's the thing. We don't need to say that. You just mentioned the mom that we talked about is off all of her medication. We don't take people off their medication. Like
right.
we don't
have any say what you take or do
yeah,
or don't.
But if you're functioning properly, and then you just don't need to take it. And so that part is really cool. So anyway, that's a big deal. We're going to take a short break and we're going to come back with some recent news and we'll have a great conversation with you. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this.
or at yourweeklycheckup.com.
Welcome back to your weekly checkup. I'm Dr. Lazar. We're talking about neurodevelopmental challenges and neurodivergent kids. And there was a recent story that was in the news that just absolutely broke our hearts. And we don't share this to sensationalize it. We don't share it to do anything other than bring to light what happens and why it's so important that for us to make sure we're not overlooking this. So Jaden brought this story to my attention. So Jaden, I'll let you share it because I know it touched you really, really heavily. And as we set this up, if there are little ears listening, maybe have them, not listen for a minute. The reason we're sharing this is because if we don't get this right, if we just let things continue as status quo, these are unintended consequences, unintended outcomes. So Jaden, go ahead and share the news story.
I do want to share very clearly that this could be a trigger warning.
Fair enough.
So I found out the other day. So I'm a mom. I have one son, and I always want the best for him, which I hope most moms do, and I feel most moms do. And I heard this story the other day that a nonverbal autistic 4-year-old, I think he was turning 4, in Missouri, was at daycare and he didn't want to take a nap. And so one of the daycare workers was frustrated or fed up or whatever. They threw a weighted blanket on top of this kid, which they can be 10, 15, 18, up to, I've seen 42 pounds, depending on the size, if it's a king size or whatever. So I was like, oh my gosh, immediately I was like, that could break their neck. And as I'm reading more about this story, I'm seeing that wasn't what just happened. They kept doing more. So this worker then laid on top of this 4-year-old, a grown adult laid on top of the 4-year-old until they were their quote still. And so what they did was they laid on this kid until he suffocated. And because of that, he was then left there for 5 hours until his mom came and actually found him and uncovered the blanket. And it was very clear that when she found him, he was not alive. And so, I was in tears talking about that because I was like, oh my gosh, what if that was my son? And it just, the next day I was, sick, actually sick to my stomach, thinking about, I have to protect my kid. And the biggest thing that I feel the most for the families in this situation was that I really want to elaborate that this little boy was autistic and nonverbal. So he couldn't explain or use his words with how he was feeling, or I can't breathe, or whatever was happening. And so I wonder if in that situation, if he probably was really scared, because they are extremely smart kids. They know exactly what they're thinking and what they want to say, and they just can't get the words out to communicate what they're thinking. And so, that was
it's awful.
Disgusting.
It's awful
that happened.
The little boy's name was Conrad David Wade Ashcraft, and he was 3 years old. And yeah, it's terrible. So this is why families are afraid to trust providers. I mean, we know really amazing daycare providers. It's not that they're not all like that, But when stuff like this happens, this is why families are afraid to trust them.
Mhm.
We must understand the nervous system. And this is where our work begins. This is where when we're addressing kiddos from birth,
Mhm.
when they don't grow into these neurodevelopmental challenges. I just read an article today. In fact, we have a blog post on our website at lazarspinalcare.com. There was just today, it was released, or today I saw it, but it's recently released, that a little boy with such a traumatic birth that it broke his collarbone, during the delivery process, how well he responded to care so early in life. We can't stress it enough. And so that's why it's such a big deal to have nervous systems checked. We don't say if we check nervous systems so kids don't die in daycare. However, we check nervous systems so kids don't grow into autistic or sensory or neurodivergent issues and then not be able to speak up or defend
Mhm.
themselves, and we don't know if it would have been any different or not, but we're certainly praying for the Ashcraft family, and we don't know them, but our hearts go out to them. And what a horrible tragedy. 866-521-WELL, 866-521-9355. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back right after this. All right, so friends on social, we are on a commercial break right now for the radio. So wanted to say hi, do a little shout out. Thank you for joining. And if you have any questions at all, comments on these neurodevelopmental challenges, things we're doing like
Hey, this is Dr. Lazar from Your Weekly Checkup on
Let's,
WMUZ Tuesday nights at 9.
Let's mute
You
that.
shouldn't waste a ton of
There
money
we go.
covering up
So that's me
symptoms.
talking.
Whether or
on
not you're in the Ann
on
Arbor
the
area or if
radio
you're
show
one of our out-of-town members,
commercial.
our
So
office and
we
our
don't need to hear two
team
of me.
is a
Good
team
Lord.
you can count on.
Anyway,
We dig to uncover what's going on with your body and determine whether we can help you or whether we need to find another type of specialist for you. Since every situation is different, we make sure we understand what's causing your trouble so we can help your body heal and thrive. That way, you can get back to enjoying your life again for real this time.
Also, we're
Schedule an appointment now by calling 866-521-9355. 866-521-WELL.
challenges, but we still like to
Call and speak with
promote
Dr.
that.
Lazar at
We'll let you hear the radio part here for just a
866-521-WELL.
second, and we'll be right
That's
back.
866-521-WELL.
Welcome back to your weekly checkup. I'm Dr. Lazar. I'm in the studio with Jaden, and we are talking about a very important topic. We're talking about neurodevelopmental challenges. And if you're just tuning in, I want you to know that if your child is struggling with speech delays, meltdowns, sensory overload, I want to remind you that this episode could change your life. And Jaden and I have a goal. By the end of tonight's show, we want 20 families who are ready to see change to call us. Not tomorrow, tonight. 866-521-WELL, 866-521-9355. Mention the word HOPE, and we'll give you our special listener-only consultation and neuroscan package. We've not done that before from the show, but we are super passionate about having you join us on there. We've talked about the 3 Ds. That's disconnection, dysregulation, and delay. If you notice those in your kiddos, well, actually, before you notice those in your kiddos, have them checked, because that's the best way to handle it. We wouldn't say once your child's teeth hurt, take them to the dentist. That would not be the best use of the people who work so hard for oral hygiene. So the idea is, let's get them checked so they can grow well.
Without interference.
Without interference. An old Indian proverb said, as the twig is bent, so the tree grows. And so however we start, that's what keeps going. We can retrain things, but we can't get that time back. And we can't relive the stuff that we missed. There was an instant breakthrough that we had a couple years ago. We didn't, but a little girl named Harper did. Do you remember that story, Jaden?
No,
All
I
right.
don't. Sorry.
So anyway, she was completely nonverbal, and
Oh, I do. I remember this story.
okay,
We have so many Harpers.
that's fair.
Yes. So this was, if this is the one that I'm thinking of, just a couple weeks into her care, she looked at her dad and she said, "I love you, Daddy." Is that
That's
the one?
the one.
Okay.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That gives me all the feels. That's crazy.
I feel like that would be such a special, like, feeling. Right now, Oliver says like "love you" or "mom," but he doesn't put the sentence yet.
Yeah, well, he's really
And
young.
he's verbal.
She was 4, and that was a big change for them. I mean, that changed her life. So we do nervous system scans before and after. And when we do the assessment, we're able to see whether the autonomic nervous system is involved. That's the part that controls things like breathing, focus, attention, speech, just, anything that we're not actively doing. Like if I say raise your hand, that's a different part of the nervous system. Well, it uses the autonomic nervous system as well. But we do the nerve scans, and that's how we find the hidden neurological interference. That is so key, because so many people think, these are some of the things they'll think. They'll think, I've never heard of this before, so it can't be true. Okay. Or they'll think, my pediatrician has never talked to me about this, so it can't be a big deal. Okay. They might say, nobody else has told me about this, so there may not be any credibility. I don't know if this is trustworthy information. Okay, that's fair. The problem is hidden neurological interference is the silent killer. The term for that is subluxation, vertebral subluxation complex, to be thorough. And that is hidden neurological interference. Now, it's not always hidden, because it could show up as ear infections or chronic sinusitis or chronic tonsillitis, or it can show up as those. So then it's not necessarily hidden anymore. Unfortunately, people are just addressing symptoms at best and not looking for that hidden neurological interference.
And at the point that it's already showing up as ear infections and strep throat and all of those symptoms, it's been there for a while.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like black mold, really. Like,
that's
you
a
don't
great point.
know anything. You don't know that a pipe has slowly been leaking in your house for 4 years until the black mold starts to come through your paint.
That's an excellent metaphor. I think I'm going to steal that. So the truth is, your child could be the next Harper. We've reserved 20 new patient consultation slots, but they'll be gone by tomorrow morning. So call us tonight, 866-521-WELL, 866-521-9355. If you mention the word hope, you will include the consultation and the nerve scan. So, Jaden, what happens when somebody comes in for a consultation or for an initial visit? What can they expect? What does that look like for them?
Yeah, so what I would consider a normal visit, you would come in, you have your consultation with one of our doctors, and then the consultation is very personal. That's your space where you can explain everything that's going on, things you think may or even may not be related to what you're feeling. And it's important for us and for you that we sit there and we listen to you and we hear what you're saying, and so that's the first part. That's the consultation. Some of our testing, if they're needed, include some nerve scans that will tell us how your body is handling the information processing and blood flow, and if there are any, people use the word pinched nerves a lot, if stuff is going where it's supposed to. And then also we have x-rays, which will show us, the structure of your body as well as any injuries. And this will show us where the big focus points, I would say, from injuries. And we have, a 15-point posture check, which will tell us, it goes down to millimeters. I think even
1
more
millimeter.
specific than
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
It's 1 millimeter.
So that is like the testing portion. We have some orthotic scans that we can do as well, which are very different than like you can walk into a drugstore and get an orthotic scan pretty much anywhere. These are very, very precise and specific. I wear my own. I've never seen any of this similar, like specific. I mean, so that's really cool.
I don't think you can get a scan exactly, but they've got something they'll let you stand on, and maybe it's a scan.
Yeah, I mean, they
don't know.
call it a scan, but it really what it does in drugstores is like just the temperature, like the skin temperatures to see the difference.
Okay.
But so this is like very specific. It can even tell you the difference within your arch height, and so it's really cool. But all of this together is what tells us what's going on with your body, where the interference is, and how it's responding and dealing with the interference and day-to-day life as well. So that is the testing. And then we show you on your next visit, we show you everything that we found. We show you your x-rays, we explain them, and then that's where we tell you if we think we can help.
That's huge. And you'll see the same patterns we've seen in thousands of kids. You'll finally understand the why behind their struggles. We know so many families that, if the kiddo's not sleeping at night, that means mom and dad aren't sleeping at night. And if mom and dad aren't sleeping at night, mom and dad are having some pretty frustrating issues. And, neurodivergent parents with a neurodivergent child have a 40% higher divorce rate than the public, and everybody else. I mean, it's a 50% anyway. So they have an additional 40% divorce rate because it's too challenging. If you're interested in understanding the why behind these kiddo struggles, we've got a special offer tonight. Our initial visit it's 5 something. I don't even know what
it's $869.
I'm sorry, $869.
We have different types of initial visits, but the one we're mentioning is $869.
Got it. I appreciate you being on here to correct me like that. But tonight, if you call and mention HOPE, we're going to give you the consultation at no charge. The initial first part of the neuroscan will include as well. And then the full assessment we would do at a discount. And Jaden, what was the discounted rate that we came up with for that, or that you guys came up with for the discounted rate?
Yes, so the consultation is normally $224, and the nerve scan is normally $187. And so if you mention the word HOPE when you call, that's how we'll know that you'll get those savings for your visit.
And what is we have a discounted rate for that first visit if they call from this?
If you call from this, you get the consultation at no charge, which is normally $224. We've never done the nerve scans before.
So the nerve scan part is new. And then if we do the full assessment, that's normally $867. We're doing that from this show for $97. So we want it to be crazy for you to not do it, but that's just for the first 20 families that call. 866-521-WELL, 866-521-9355. Tell our team you heard about it on the radio show, or if you're on social, on the live podcast, and we'll get you scheduled this week. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back right after this.
or find us at yourweeklycheckup.com.
Be on the radio. Call Dr. Lazar with your question now. 866-521-WELL. That's 866-521-WELL.
And welcome back to your weekly checkup. I'm Dr. Lazar, and Jaden's in studio with me. We're excited to share with you that the science is catching up. We're talking about neurodevelopmental challenges, neurodevelopmental disorders, and how big of an effect that has on families. And we've mentioned, if you're just tuning in, we've mentioned that we are speaking to a specific group of people tonight. And we want you to know that if you are struggling and your child is struggling, there are speech delays, meltdowns, sensory overload, this episode could change your life. By the end of tonight's show, we want 20 families who are ready to change, to see change, to call us. Not tomorrow, tonight. 866-521-WELL, 866-521-9355 right now, and mention the word HOPE for a special listener-only consultation, an initial neuroscan, and if we do the whole assessment that's normally $867, we're offering that for $97 as a community outreach to the first 20 people that take us up on that. Those will be gone by the morning, so make sure you call, text, chat, tweet, email, whatever it is you've got to do. We're talking about also how to know that kiddos need, ideally they'll be assessed and screened anyway. That's the best way to do it, even without symptoms, because this isn't sick care. This is healthcare, and we want you and your family to reach your full God-given potential. And so that's like saying, I'm only going to work out if I get fat. We don't want that for you. We want you to be healthy and active and vital and not distracted by health challenges and lack of answers. I was talking to a mom just today, and she was saying all of these challenges she had been having with her health and her pregnancy and could not get answers. And she was so frustrated. Just, I keep asking and they don't tell me and they make stuff up and it's just not. And you know, she's disillusioned. The system has failed her for sure. But science is catching up, which is good. So there was that Leah Coverin study, New York Post in March of this year. Their nonverbal kids began speaking after targeted neurological and biochemical intervention. We're like, oh, that's cool. We love that hit New York Post. And then Renew syndrome. What was that, Jane? We had talked about that before.
Yeah, that's where modern science shows underlying root causes that have continued. They're continuing to be ignored for years.
Yeah, they were, and so they're looking at underlying root causes. We've always known that kids aren't broken, and now the research is proving us right. We've said there's nothing wrong with your kid. Your child's nervous system wants to function well, wants to adapt, but there's something blocking it. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with your kid. Your kid's not broken.
Right.
We just have to remove the interference. I don't need research to prove us right because I get to see it over and over and over and over and over. And, you see that I almost become sensitized to it or desensitized to
what?
it.
Oh, I was
like when somebody, we hear it all the time and we're happy to hear it. I mean, that's wonderful. That's such a blessing. But I mean, in the past, when I first started hearing it, I'd think, no way,
Yeah.
I didn't know. That is so cool. I didn't realize it was that powerful. And now it's like, well, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy for you, but that's exactly what was supposed to happen.
Yeah, if you take your hand off the hot stove, it's not going to be as hot anymore.
Right. And it's life-changing for these families, but in that metaphor, yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, my hand's not on fire anymore, Well, that's kind of
really happy
how it's supposed to be,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, we don't take that lightly by any means. So unrelated to neurodevelopmental challenges, there are, and the reason I'm sharing this part about June 19th, I'm sharing this tonight because most of the time with neurodevelopmental kiddos, neurodevelopmental challenged kiddos, mom and dad are affected also. With the kiddos, they're having a hard time focusing. They're not connecting, their nervous system is going crazy, 11 trillion signals coming into the brain every day, and their upper neck part of the nervous system that's not regulating any of that. They're just getting bombarded with these sensory inputs all the time, and they can't handle it. So they're having that kind of trouble, and they're stuck in this fight or flight state. Oftentimes we call it raging bull, where they're just hyperactive and destructive. And I don't mean like boys will be boys. I'm talking, okay, something's up. This is not functional.
Right.
So they get the attention and the care as they should, but mom gets completely overlooked. And mom has been through that fight or flight stage, fighting like crazy, saying there's something going on with my baby. Oh, you just are comparing him to other kids, or oh, you just whatever. And so basically they're saying we're not going to listen. Now, moms, you know your kid's the best. So if somebody is not listening to you, they don't deserve to be on your team. So mom gets overlooked a lot, and mom gets into this exhausted parasympathetic state where migraines are just showing up all the time, and allergies they used to be once in a while, now they're all the time, and sleepless nights are happening. Even if your kiddo's not waking you up anymore, you're not getting restful sleep anymore. And so your nervous system needs to be under care as well. And so June 19th, we're talking about pain, talking about chronic pain, and we'd love to invite you to that. It's an in-office workshop. And so you can, at the same number here, you can reach our office. We're in Ann Arbor. That number is 866-521-WELL, 866-521-9355. We would love for you to join us. We're not charging our radio listeners for that workshop, and so we'd love to have you. That's June 19th, and seating is limited, so please get with us right away. We're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back with a lightning round of wins. We've got some rapid testimonials we're going to go through, so don't go anywhere. The best part is coming up. We'll be right back.
YourWeeklyCheckup.com.
Welcome back to Your Weekly Checkup. I'm Jaden with Dr. Lazar tonight, and we are talking about kiddos with who are experiencing neurodevelopmental disorders, including autism. There's a huge spectrum, but also patients or kiddos who are nonverbal, and right now we're about to share our lightning round of wins.
Love it. So another one of our patients hadn't slept through the night in years, and now he sleeps 9 hours a night without medication.
I think it's important to focus on the without medication portion of that, because there's tons of things people can take to sleep, and the fact that his body is functioning properly the way it's supposed to without drugs masking symptoms are exactly what we're looking for.
100%.
I want to share another one. There was one mom who told us that her son finally got invited to a birthday party after starting care. So he was engaging, like actually participating in conversations that he wasn't trying to do before.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, that's so sad.
Yeah, it
have the
changed
kid or be the kid that's
right.
not invited.
It changed his confidence. You could see it grow, and you could see that he was even initiating the conversations.
Massive. We had another little guy that was invited for the first time along the lines of this for a sleepover, and he he did his first sleepover. He had been invited before, but he wouldn't go because he was wetting the bed at night. And so obviously that was embarrassing for him. He was 12 or so, and certainly should have been holding his bladder by then physiologically. And so he was just elated that when we got him adjusted, that unpinched the nerves to his bladder, he was able to hold his bladder and stay dry through the night. And so he was able to go to his first sleepover. That was cool.
That's really cool. There was a girl who she would scream when she was touched or hugged.
Anytime she was touched. Yep.
Yeah. So like she didn't want to hug her family or high five or fist bump even. Like that was too much. I can't think of the word that I'm thinking, but that was just too much.
Stimulation.
Yes. Thank you. Too much for her. And so she would scream. That was the way that she could, I guess I want to say use her words, like communicate. Yeah. That's how she could communicate. And after just one adjustment, she was able to hug her parents.
That's super, super cool. Tommy came in at 31 years of age, had started speaking as a child, and then at about 18 months, stopped speaking. I can't remember if it was 18 months or 3 years, but early in life, stopped speaking. And so he had come in, and it had been a couple weeks, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. It hadn't been very long at all. And he went out to the front of the office in the reception area and just announced to everyone what he wanted with his words. And it was so cool. And it's so funny because his first words since he was, a little guy were, "I want a hot dog."
I mean, get the man a hot dog.
I agree. That was a cool experience.
I want to talk about another patient who he started care when he was younger. He was 10, and he was, getting regular adjustments. And then I think the family moved a little bit farther, so they decided to see a different doctor, and he wasn't really communicating very well. Like that was why one of the reasons he started coming in for care. And he worked really hard, and he was telling his mom, "I want to see Dr. Lazar." And so she said, "All right, and we'll make it happen." So he's been coming in for how many years? He'll be graduating this year.
8 years, maybe?
We were just invited to his graduation. Throughout the
He's
years
had a
of
cool
his care,
couple years, yeah.
Yes. Throughout the years of his care, we've seen him start to engage in conversations. It went from like his mom would come in and hold his hand and stay with him the whole time, and he didn't really talk. And then it got to the point where eventually he was walking down the hallway by himself, and then coming in, she would wait in the car, and he would walk in the office by himself and then schedule his own appointment. So it was like a live action film, like we were able to watch and see him grow and see the changes. And then he got on a bowling league with his friends from school, and he has a couple medals from that, and he's really good. So that was like a big step for him. And then he was invited to prom with his friends, and he was able to go without his mom, which was like a huge stepping stone for him, because his mom was, constantly with him for his comfort. And so, him being invited he was invited to go to prom with his friends from school.
That was super cool. And those were cool videos to get. And yeah, that was very special.
And the whole team was just invited to his grad party. So we'll definitely be there to support him.
Yeah, that's huge. I have a video here. on my phone, and I'm gonna try to play it. I don't know if it will come through or not, but we'll give it a shot and see. So here's Nate. Nate, do you remember how old you were when we first met, when you started coming here? We're gonna have video editing so you can talk and stuff. How old? You were 9. Okay. And I've heard over the last couple of years of some cool things you've been able to do. I remember you telling me about going to Cedar Point sometimes. Okay. And there. Yeah, we're not hearing his mic in there, so that's all right. All right, we'll get that. We'll get that. The video editing people have it, but I was like, oh, that's so cool. We gotta share that. Right. So super cool wins. We really want you to take away tonight. Take away this hope. Kiddos that can be diagnosed with things like autism spectrum, ADHD, PANDAS, PANS, sensory processing disorder, anxiety, emotional dysregulation. We know you've tried everything. We already know that. And we know that you feel dismissed and judged and exhausted. And, we know that you're desperate for a trusted whole child solution, if I had to make something up. And so we want you to know that this episode is designed for you to change your life. And by the end of tonight's show, our goal is for 20 families who are ready to see change to call us. Not tomorrow. Tonight. 866-521-WELL. Call that number right now. Mention the word HOPE for our special listener-only consultation and NeuroScan package. And that's unique. And then if we end up needing to do the full assessment, depending on what we find, that's normally $869. And we're offering that to the first 20 families who call for $97. We've not done that before, but we want to share it. And it's big. We're looking to share with you the goods, the neurofunctional care rooted in nervous system regulation and autonomic balance. What those words mean are, we want your child's and your regulatory system to be balanced and function well. And when that happens, you function well. I was able to get off 9 prescription medications. What else?
Well, go ahead and finish that talk.
It's like, when we're functioning well, we don't need all the other stuff. And so we know that people have gone through birth trauma, then stress, then toxins, then dysautonomia, then developmental derailment. That's the cycle that happens all the time. And what it shows up as is disconnection, dysregulation, delay. Mm-hmm. That's what we're looking for if there's an intervention that's needed, but we like to stop it before it ever gets to that. So that's why we want you to get your kiddos checked.
And I just want to share, to all the moms out there, mom to mom, if you if something is not right with your kids, you know that before any doctor, before any scans or testing or consultations, you know that something is not right with your child. It's just a gut feeling. And so this message right now is for you, that we listen to what you're saying. We truly care about you and your family, and we want to get you the help that you're looking for. And with that, we can hopefully get you results. I've yet to see someone who hasn't gotten results that they're looking for. But this message is for you, that we take you seriously. And just a side note, if you ever go somewhere and the answer you get is, oh, we know what we're doing, or this is just protocol, this is what we do for everyone, or if someone says, oh, I've been in this for years, I know what I'm doing, your kid's fine, then don't listen to that, because you know your kid.
For sure. Jaden, is there any intentionality in the camo shirt tonight?
It's my fighting shirt.
Right. No, I know what it is, but I mean, did you wear that on purpose for this, or was that subconscious, or like it's a fight. There's no question. There's no question. And so I didn't know if that just happened to be what you were wearing or if that was intentional for the show.
Well, it was a little bit of both, not specifically for the show, but I've never run a marathon before, and I have just committed to running a marathon, 26.2 miles, to help with ending human trafficking. So
that's big.
I had to run today, so I had to wear my fighting shirt.
Very cool. Super proud of you for doing that. We'll talk more about that on some future shows, but we want you to share your journey, and we're very passionate about serving others. And, with your story personally, I certainly respect that you are a big advocate of helping end human trafficking. That's very big. Well, we've had a fantastic show. We are really grateful that you've tuned in, that you've trusted us with this time. We don't take that lightly. We pray for you. We pray that before every show that the people who are supposed to listen are listening. And so if you're listening to this, you're listening for a reason. It's not happenstance. You didn't stumble on it. I mean, you may have, but you were supposed to. So we appreciate that. And if you're hearing this and you're not within the range of our office, that's okay. We offer help to people remotely. We offer, we can help find you, places. We love to help however we can, because the world deserves you at your best. And if there's anything we can do to help support you in that, we're all in with that. So we appreciate you tuning in. Take us up on that offer, that $97 offer. It's for the first 20 families we hear from, and those will be gone by the morning. So make sure you call tonight or text, whatever you need to do. Just get in front of us as the first 20 people, and you'll get that assessment for you.
You have to mention hope, the word hope.
Mention the word hope, not the essential oil. The word
essential
hope.
Oil hope stinks.
It does. So we actually thought about getting a shirt made that said hope stinks, just referring to the essential oil. Anyway, on behalf of our team in Ann Arbor and our awesome team at WMUZ, thanks so much for tuning in. We look forward to being back with you next week.
God bless.
All right. So for our social media friends, thank you for joining. The show is, they're doing the outro for the show on WMUZ, and we want to thank you for joining us, and we appreciate that very much. Jaden, any last words before we head out?
I think everyone watching likes it better when I
WMUZ FM HD1 Detroit 103.5 The Light, streaming online at WMUZ.com.
Who do you like
Detroit made,
better?
Bible strong.
The following program has been paid for by Focus on the Family.
The following program is sponsored by Focus on the Family and is supported by the prayers and financial gifts of wonderful friends like you.
Oh, it's bribery now.
This is Jim Daly from Focus on the Family. When you get in touch, please let us know the call letters of this great radio station.
Co-host.
Reading did this interesting thing where it put us almost on the same side of the fence, because now.
Oh, when I hear co, I think like second, in addition. Is that wrong?
Well, if there's one person, that's a host. If there are two people, they would be co-hosts, because we're co-hosting the show. So which co-host do you like, social media peeps? Which co-host do you like the best? We'll see. We'll report next week when we go live. Thanks for joining.